A man came in last month and asked me what I would charge to make his doors lock themselves when he drives off. His last car did it and this one did not, and he assumed it was a feature he had to buy. I sat in the driver's seat, went into the settings menu, and switched it on. It took me about 90 seconds. He had been driving that car for 2 years. That is not an unusual story. It happens constantly, and it is the reason for this video. Because there are two completely different kinds of advice about cars floating around, and people mix them up. One kind tells you to put something on your car. Shoe polish, cooking oil, petroleum jelly, whatever was in the cupboard. The other kind tells you what the vehicle was built to do on its own. I am only interested in the second kind. Everything in this video is already built into the vehicle sitting outside your house. You have paid for all of it. Most of it either arrives disabled or was never explained to you, and every single one of these can be confirmed in your own owner's manual, which is the one book about your car that is guaranteed to be correct. Ogawa ran this workshop for 30 years before I did, and he had a rule for apprentices that annoyed every one of them. Before you touch an unfamiliar car, you sit down and read its manual properly, cover to cover. He said most of what people call experience is really just knowing what the manufacturer already wrote down. So here are 15, counting down. Number 15. Your sun visor comes off the windscreen. The sun drops to that angle where it comes in past the edge of the visor and straight into your eyes, and you sit there squinting and moving your head around. Unclip the visor from the center and swing it round to the side window. Now look at the arm it pivots on. On most cars that arm slides, so you can pull the visor along it toward the back of the car and cover a lot more of that side glass. People own a car for a decade without discovering that the visor extends. It has been there the whole time. Number 14. Your rear wiper probably knows when you are reversing. Most cars with a rear wiper can be set so that when you select reverse with the front wipers running, the rear one wipes automatically. It is one of those things you never think to want until you have it, and then you notice its absence in every other car. On a lot of vehicles it is active already. On plenty of others it is waiting in the settings menu under wipers or under vehicle. 2 minutes to find out. Number 13. There are anchor points in your boot. Look at the floor and the side walls, particularly in the corners. On most estates, hatchbacks, crossovers, and a lot of saloons, you will find metal loops or recessed clips lying flat. They fold down so they do not catch on anything, which is exactly why nobody sees them. Lift them up and you have proper tie-down points. A bungee cord across 2 of them stops your shopping migrating across the boot on the first roundabout, and it stops heavier items sliding around, which matters more than groceries do. Number 12. The fuel gauge tells you which side the filler is on. Look at the little pump symbol next to your fuel gauge. There is a small triangle or arrow beside it, and it points to the side of the car the filler cap is on. This is not for you when it is your own car. It is for the hire car, the courtesy car, the van you borrowed, the moment when you are at an unfamiliar pump with somebody waiting behind you. Almost every car built in the last few decades has it. Most drivers have looked at that symbol 10,000 times without ever noticing the arrow. Number 11. Tap the indicator instead of pushing it. On most modern cars, if you nudge the indicator stalk gently without pushing it far enough to click into place, you get 3 flashes and it cancels itself. That is what it is for. Changing lanes on a motorway. You are not turning, you do not want the stalk latched, and you do not want to be one of those people driving 15 miles with an indicator on. It is a light touch. If you have never found it, you have probably been pushing too hard your whole driving life. Number 10. Your washer nozzles may be adjustable, and there is a way to check before you break one. The washers spray the roof, or the passenger side gets soaked, and the driver side stays dry. Look closely at the nozzle. If you can see a small ball or pintle sitting in a socket, that type aims. Put the tip of a sewing needle or a pin gently into the opening and use light pressure to pivot it, then test and adjust again. It moves easily and it takes under a minute. But if the nozzle is a flat slot or a wide fan opening with no visible ball, that is a fluidic nozzle, and it is fixed. There is nothing to aim. Forcing a pin into one of those damages it, and then you are buying a nozzle instead of adjusting one. So look first, decide which type you have, and only then reach for the pin. Shops do write this up as a washer system inspection. Number 9, and this one takes 5 seconds. Your seatbelt height adjusts. Look at the pillar behind your shoulder, where the belt comes out. On most cars, there is a slider there with a button or a squeeze catch on it, and the whole anchor point moves up and down several inches. If the belt sits against your neck, that is not something you have to live with, and it is not just comfort. A belt that runs across your neck instead of the middle of your collarbone is not positioned the way it was designed to be, and people move the belt behind their arm to escape it, which is far worse. Set it so the belt crosses the middle of your shoulder. Takes 5 seconds and most people have never touched it. Number 8. The recirculation button is working against you half the time. That button with the arrow curling round inside the car shuts the outside vents and cycles the same cabin air round again. It is genuinely useful in slow traffic behind a diesel, or on a hot day when you want the cabin cold quickly, because the system is chilling air that is already cool rather than pulling in hot air from outside. But leave it on when your windows are misting and you are making the problem worse. The moisture fogging your glass came out of you and your passengers, and recirculating it means that damp air goes round and round with nowhere to go. For demisting, you want fresh air in and air conditioning on if you have it, because the system dries the air on its way through. Fastest demist is fresh air conditioning on, heat up, aimed at the screen, with that recirculation button off. Number 7. Your key might operate the windows from outside the car. On a good number of cars, holding the unlock button on the fob for a few seconds drops all the windows, and holding the lock button closes them. On some older cars with a physical key, holding the key turned in the driver's door lock does the same thing. It is meant for airing out a car that has been sitting in the sun before you get into it, which is genuinely pleasant in summer. Whether your car does it, and whether it is enabled, is a settings menu question or a manual question, worth 30 seconds to find out. Number 6. Automatic locking is usually sitting there switched off. This is the one that man paid me a visit for. Most cars built in the last 15 years or so can lock all the doors by themselves, either once you pass a certain speed, or when you shift into park and take the key out. The software is already in the body control module. On a great many cars, it is simply disabled by default. It lives under doors, locks, or security in the settings menu, or on some older cars, it is a button sequence on the door panel with an ignition cycle, and the steps are printed in the manual. Once it is on, you stop having that conversation with yourself halfway to your front door. If this is useful so far, subscribe. I put one of these out every week from the workshop. Number 5. Your doors have drain holes and they block. Here is something that turns into a real bill. Water is meant to get inside your door. That is normal. Rain runs down the glass, past the seal, and into the bottom of the door skin, and there are small holes along the bottom edge for it to run out of. Those holes block. Leaves, road grit, dirt, old sealant. And when they block, the bottom of your door becomes a container holding water against bare metal, which is precisely how doors rot from the inside. It is also a very common cause of a damp smell you cannot find, and of a wet carpet in the footwell that everybody blames on a window seal. Open the door, look along the bottom edge, and you will find them. Clear them gently with a thin cable tie or a piece of wire, not a screwdriver, because you do not want to be scraping paint off the inside of a door. Do it twice a year. That is 5 minutes of work standing between you and a rusted door skin. Number 4. Your windows lose their memory and you can give it back. A window stops going up on one touch. It only moves while you hold the button. Or it goes halfway and stops. Before anyone quotes you for a regulator or a motor, try this, because the motor is very often fine. Those windows run on a stored position memory. And if the battery has been disconnected, or a fuse has been pulled, or the glass has been forced out of position, that memory can be lost. The window no longer knows where its own limits are. The reset on most cars is the same shape. Hold the switch down until the window is fully open, then keep holding for a few more seconds. Then pull the switch up until the window is fully closed, and again keep holding for a few more seconds. release, and test it. The exact sequence varies, so check the manual for yours, but that pattern covers a great many cars. It costs nothing and it takes half a minute, and if it works, you have just avoided a job that gets billed as a regulator diagnostic. Number 3. Your cabin filter is behind the glove box, and it is a 5-minute job. Your car has a filter for the air coming into the cabin, and it is usually the most neglected filter on the vehicle. When it clogs, your airflow drops, your demisting slows down, and the car starts to smell musty. On most cars, it sits behind the glove box. You empty the glove box, squeeze the sides in so it drops past its stops, and there is a plastic cover with clips. Old filter out, note which way the airflow arrow points, new one in the same way round. The part is inexpensive. Fitting it is genuinely a 5-minute job on most vehicles, and it is one of the highest labor to difficulty ratios on any service invoice. Number 2. Clean your air conditioning condenser and it will cool properly again. The air conditioning is running constantly and the air is only ever cool rather than cold. The filter is new, the gas is fine. Look through the front grille. The condenser sits right at the front of the car, ahead of the radiator, and its job is to dump heat out of the refrigerant. It spends its life catching insects, road grit, leaves and seeds, and once air cannot get through it properly, the system cannot shed that heat. It works harder, cools less, and puts extra load on the compressor. Car off, engine cool, and flush it with a garden hose from the engine side outward, so you push debris back out the way it came, rather than driving it deeper into the fins. Gentle pressure only. Those fins bend if you look at them wrong, and bent fins block airflow just as well as insects do. Let it dry fully before you run the system. Once a spring. A lot of people who have been told they need gas end up not needing it. And number 1, which is the one I would keep if I could only keep one, because it is the most common misunderstanding in driving. The number on your tire sidewall is not your tire pressure. Look at the sidewall and you will find a pressure figure molded into the rubber. A lot of people read that number and inflate to it, and it is the wrong number. That figure is the maximum pressure the tire is constructed to hold. It is a limit, not a recommendation, and it has nothing to do with your particular car. Your actual figure is on a sticker, usually inside the driver's door jamb, sometimes in the fuel filler flap or the glove box. It is set by the people who built the car, for that car's weight and suspension, and it will often list a different pressure for the front and the rear, and sometimes a higher set of figures for a full load. Overinflated, you ride on the center of the tread, you wear a strip down the middle, and you have less rubber on the road. Underinflated, the shoulders wear, the tire runs hot, the steering goes vague, and your fuel economy drops. Check them cold, before you have driven, because a tire that has been running is warm and reads high. That door sticker is the most useful thing on your car that nobody reads, and it costs nothing at all to use. So that is 15, and notice what is not on the list. Nothing out of a kitchen cupboard. Nothing sprayed, poured, or rubbed onto anything. Nothing that voids a warranty or makes a pedal slippery. Every one of these is a thing your car was built to do, sitting there waiting for somebody to switch it on or look at it. Ogawa was right about the manual. 20 minutes with the book in your glove box will tell you more about your own car than any list I could read out, and it has the advantage of being written by the people who made it. Read the book. It is already in the car, and you paid for that too.